if you were to do that 5 strengths test, I'd probably come up error, no strengths found for you, Dan. So just balance the scale. Sorry.
I don't know if
so
you're just pissed or froze.
Oh no, I'm not frozen. I'm not bloody frozen.
Just...
I'm not frozen. No, my internet's fine.
He's just having none of it. But I need to cue another one of those "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
That's not even darkness. That's just red, bro. What the hell was that for?
You know, I was kind of going off at Alex there. So I just had to balance the scales.
No, there was not going off at Alex. She was saying how she was a lovely storyteller. I respect her long answers. That was just a dig for no reason.
Hello, welcome to another episode of TFF. This is episode 35, I think. But we're all having a bit of a lazy Sunday, enjoying the Euros. So 2 main things we want you to take away from this episode. Number 1 is that we stick to our word by saying we are the most inclusive football community out there when it comes to podcasts. And that's why we've dedicated the whole episode to answering some great questions we've had in from fans all over the world. There was a bunch that we weren't able to get to, unfortunately, but we're trying to get through as many as we can and trying to pick a good variation of questions. So thank you to everyone for sending in your questions. Just a reminder, if you were listening to this and you want to check out how to do that, or you want to submit your own questions, many ways to do it. You can just DM us on Instagram, or which is at TFF Media, or on TikTok, which is at the Footy Forum. But we also have a link. So if you go on our Instagram page, we have a link tree, which will take you to all our streaming platforms. But also there'll be a link at the top there where you can submit your questions. It's a little Google form. And we constantly do these episodes. We like to interact with our community. So please always feel if you just want to chat as well, chat about football, just DM us. That's the first thing. The second big takeaway from this episode is that Morgan definitely needs a haircut. I think that's something we can all agree on. I apologise for those actually watching and not listening on audio. If you are listening on audio, you've dodged a massive bullet, so congrats to you. Alex, Dan, how are we doing?
All good.
Good.
Tired.
Yes. Alex?
I am doing really well, actually. Yeah, I'm excited to be doing this. I feel like my life's been so chaotic lately, so it's nice to just sit and have a chat.
Preach that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. We're doing everything behind the scenes, obviously, as you can tell, to keep the podcast moving. TF3 is doing really, really well. So, yeah, I mean, let's get straight into the questions. We'll start with a few light ones. Nothing too heavy. But I'm just going to address Jamie straight away because Jamie from Northampton has asked me, or asked TFF, let's say, Morgan, why are you always so full of fair play, Jamie. It's a free world. We're all entitled to our opinion. I would like to use this opportunity to defend myself. Since it's a Euro episode, I'll give you a specific Euro example. Everyone's calling Turkey a dark horse. I don't know if I necessarily saw that. One thing I did say when it came to Wales, though, just on the theme of Group A, since the games are being played today, is I said, if Wales, for them, their key question for me is would their players, their big players, their star players, would they be able to step up? If so, Wales have a good chance. Now, obviously, Switzerland game went quite well. They got a late equaliser. But then specifically against Turkey, Ramsey and Bale, their 2 big players, stepped up. And that was the difference in the match, obviously. Bale should have put a penalty away, but then he got the assist on the second. And the assist on the first goal, actually 2 assists for Bale. And should have had the goal himself. So, I think
should have
I
had
know...
the penalty.
Exactly. It really should have had the penalty. That's shocking. But...
Yeah.
My point is I'm defending myself by saying, yes, I say controversial things. Do they always come true? Definitely not. However, I do think that I am good at substantiating my points and trying to defend myself and also giving fair reasons to why I think certain things. I don't just come out with controversial comments without any backing. So, appreciate your question, Jamie. As I said, open place, entitled to your opinion. Keep doing what you're doing as well. Feel free to DM me directly if you want to talk further. But yeah, keep the questions coming. I mean, that was lovely. Let's start off with another light one. So this one's from Scott in Liverpool, and Scott has asked, this one's for you, Dan. He said, Dan, what's more likely? England winning the Euros or your dream robbery purge taking place? Now, for those of you who don't know...
I literally can't wait for this question. I can't wait for this question.
It's never going to go... Dan, where this comes from, if you're just kind of tuning in, you're new to TFF. Back when we got Dan on at the beginning, Dan said that the first law he'd introduce, if he was Prime Minister, is he would allow people to basically just rob stores for a day. So basically a purge, but robbery instead of murder. So, yep, so that was where that came from. So, Dan, which one's more likely, would you say?
Yes. At this rate, I want to say the robbery purge, mate. I'll be honest with you. I am not confident at all at this present time. I am not feeling confident at all, mate. I want to be optimistic, but I can't be because I just think there's so much stuff I can get into. I wanted to talk about England a little bit today, but I had a rant earlier and I kind of got it all out. But I just the game against Scotland, like, we didn't need to go for it, not at all. Like, we didn't really have to. But I think we could have done, and the fact that we didn't even score or even really challenge them that much was not... It's not even embarrassing because Scotland did actually play quite well. All things considered, it being a game at Wembley, they did obviously have a fair number of fans there. So, I don't know, it was really, really disappointing. I thought Harry Kane was awful. I thought the substitutions were confusing as hell. Why has Jadon Sancho not even made an appearance for even 30 seconds at the Euros?
Yep.
I think the game against Croatia was it was all right. It was a good game, and everyone got sort of really excited. And then the Scotland game just sort of, and you sort of look at all the other teams. I mean, I've heard a couple of people say that Italy maybe are just gonna storm through the groups and then maybe, get found out, later. I'm not too sure about that. I think they looked all right today, but obviously they made, I think you said, Morgan, like 8 changes. So, whether Italy do go on to sort of get to the later stages or not, whatever, but I can't see England. I'd love to be optimistic and I really do want England to do really well, but if I'm being a realist, I can't see it again. It's not even down to just Southgate, but I let you two talk now. I feel like I've been talking about bloody monologue, but yeah, no, I don't see it. As robbery purge.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's the answer.
I mean, if I'm gonna, so the comment you made about Sancho, I feel like the whole world is feeling that way, and myself included. I think I mentioned that I thought he was gonna be the breakout star of the tournament, and now I'm kind of pissed at Southgate because he's ruining my predictions. Tremendously. And I was reading something this morning, and all these people are coming at Southgate saying you have this pressure to make a change for the next game. And his comments as to why he's not playing people like Sancho is, we've got some explosive options and a lot of them are young players and experiencing a big tournament for the first time. Jadon is in that mix. He's trained well the last few days, and of course we have got those options and those decisions to make. Great, all well said, but why don't you make the decision and put some people in that can score a goal? If they're all such explosive options, they're not really showing that they're explosive options because they have one goal for.
Agreed.
So
yeah, 100%. It's good points. I just want to add to them by saying this. Dan, you will recall when we did our reaction to the Euro squad, one of the big things that I tried to jump on and say is, I want to see a different look England. I want to see... Do you remember how I said that we're comfortable when it comes to defending and playing teams a bit more on the counter-attack? So kind of, rather than kind of building up attacks and putting pressure, like high-pressure team, we like to kind of sit back, counter-attack. That's the style we've played in the past. I wanted to see an England that attacked more. I said that, didn't I?
Yeah. No, you did. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then... Croatia, there were positive signs, but I do think, as Gary Neville said a lot, like Croatia were a team where we kind of had high expectations of them, and they haven't lived up to that at all. But however, before the game, no one was saying that. So you look at the game, and it was a combination of England playing quite well, but also opponent that was much more inferior than we expected, I think. And then Scotland, the team who we were obviously better than, and the kind of team who, if you had that kind of matchup in the Premier League, you'd expect the England team, the bigger team, to go at the other team, right? But it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like we were going at them. The exact thing that I wanted to see, and Scotland were the exact perfect team, I didn't see it at all. And obviously, I think the Scotland game we can put to the side, because obviously it's a rivalry that's a bit unmatched, it's a bit different, unique. But also, the teams we're going to play after we play Czech on the 22nd on Tuesday, I believe, they're going to be more difficult games against tougher teams. So you could argue that would maybe suit us more because we like to counter-attack. That's how England like to play. Maybe a bit on the back foot, but then you hit them on the counter. However, like I just wish I saw something that showed us we're a bit three-dimensional, for whatever you want to call it, that we can offer something different, that at certain points in the game we can take a game to a team and not just kind of sit back and wait. Because that's like what we felt we were doing. We were waiting for Scotland to come at us and then try and hit them on the counter. But that's not the way. But again, Scotland were waiting for us to do the same thing, and I think that's what led to it being like a 0-0 game. And I think something that is the most disappointing about it all is you look at Italy, just played today, just very recently, and they made 8 changes to their team because they were sitting very comfortably where they were, and they had enough confidence in their players that they weren't going to lose to Wales, which they definitely didn't, and so they were finished top no matter what. So they were able to rotate the squad a bit, try out some different players, and I would have loved to see England on 6 points in a very comfortable position. That would have put us like 2 points ahead of Czech, same situation as Italy-Wales, so that we could have tried out like a fresh squad, players like Jadon Sancho, players like, Harry Maguire, who hasn't even had a chance yet, just a chance to see these players, maybe try a different goalkeeper as well for a game, just see these different players, come on, see how they do, maybe try Calvert-Lewin up front, do you know what I mean, or Rashford if you want to. And
we need to try anyone but Harry Kane up front at the moment.
Like, get someone on the field.
And now we're in a position where we're level points with Czech, and our goal difference is inferior. So if we draw that match, we're finishing second. So Gareth Southgate's in a position where he's like, I've got to put out my strongest 11. But he doesn't even know who his strongest 11 is because he hasn't given enough players a chance, in my opinion. Why he played Sterling, yes, he got the goal. I don't think Sterling had a phenomenal performance by any means. So why he's put out Sterling again, I don't know. Just in the sense, I don't think Sterling did enough to re-earn his place over trying out someone new. I'm not saying he did enough for him not to re-earn his place.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about from perspective of you want to try different things out and see, I think there should have been someone else there, like a Sancho, for example, or definitely a Grealish. And I would have loved to see. I hope Grealish starts this game anyway, but especially if we won that game, you feel more comfortable in saying, let's go give Grealish a shot, see how he plays. Maybe Sancho as well. So it's disappointing.
What about Rashford though?
Yeah,
like,
start
would
Rashford,
you not give Rashford?
Yeah, but he hasn't been on for that long. He's only played he came on for Kane both games, so he hasn't had that much time. But yeah, maybe start Rashford down the middle, see how that goes. But my point is that now because we're tied with Czech and like, goal difference, we're actually second. There's more pressure on this game to have to get a result.
Yeah.
Whereas Italy was like, if we draw, because we kind of move the squad around, whatever, it's not a problem. It's calm. Do you know what I mean? So that was a bit like disappointing for me, and I think that's why we'll regret, even if we didn't play well, at least getting the 3 points we should have. And to be fair, I felt like we hit the post, they hit the post, like, and they had the best chance really when Pickford pulled off that save in the second half. So that was disappointing for me. But yeah, anyone to add? Because I think we've spoken a lot on this topic.
Not really. I mean, I think it's disappointing, and I'm not feeling confident. Maybe you're right about the bigger team suiting us, but we'll have to wait and see. Whatever happens, whether we finished top, second, where either of the two places that we finished, we're gonna have a tough game. We knew that already, so
Yep, definitely.
we've now just got to prepare ourselves for whoever that may be, whether it's Germany, France, or if it's France, if it's either of them three, I'm worried, but we'll have to see. Maybe they shock us. I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows?
I'm hoping that you're right about the bigger teams bringing them out, but quite honestly, I look at that group and I think of a group that doesn't have confidence in themselves, or something, like something's missing, right? Like you can't go up against Scotland, who has nothing to lose, really. Like no one's even expected them to make it to the a lot of people didn't expect him to make it to the Euros. I won't say
fair.
no one, but and you're gonna sit back and give them space and let Scotland build their confidence, and then you're gonna come back to them like you. If you think of yourself as a top level team, you're not going to give the other team an opportunity to build their own confidence. You're going to go straight down their throat. So
Exactly. That's such a good point as well.
100%. Yeah. Okay. While we're on the topic, Dan, of asking you questions, I'm going to ask you one more that's come in. This one's from up in Scotland, actually, from Rob in Edinburgh. And he said, loving the new TikTok content, guys. Thank you. I've had to actually invest in personal security. Obviously, one of the TikToks hit like 100 and something K. One of them, which I was talking about, my Euro refund tickets for the England-Scotland game, actually hit about 350K. No big deal. But yeah, so obviously, like, I've had a lot of people chasing me around and super fans, but it's fine because I've got security now. They're actually just at the door. It's fine, stay outside. Yeah, so... The question is, loving the TikTok content. Dan, I'm yet to see you on there yet. You haven't made your appearance on TikTok, Dan. So he wants to know, obviously me and Alex talked about some of our Euro predictions. What is your Euro predictions? You've got a bit of an advantage now, obviously, with the group stages coming to
Like
a
I did with the
close.
Premier League states and
Like
stuff.
you did. You always seem to be a bit sneaky like that. But yeah, what is your Euro predictions, I guess now, based on what you have seen? Just kind of, I'll take 3 because Rob hasn't really specified, but we'll go Golden Boot.
Yeah.
We'll go, obviously, the winner, and I'll ask you for your dark horse as well.
All right. Okay. So for my Golden Boot, I feel like I personally think France will win the competition. So I think Mbappe will probably be the Golden Boot. I think he's going to pop off in the knockouts. Potentially. I don't know. I just think that the team obviously is going to make the final. I don't really know who I have alongside France, but I definitely have France.
So you've answered 2 questions there, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. In effect, yeah, I have. So France will win. I think France winners. Mbappe Golden Boot. I think dark horse Netherlands. I was impressed with Netherlands when I watched them, so I would say them. I think they could definitely probably be considered a dark horse. I don't think they're sort of nailed on favourites. So yeah, I'll say Netherlands.
I like
actually,
that.
I think. Yeah, no, Netherlands. Yeah, definitely.
I back it. I like that completely. But Dan, I guess a question, because we were just talking about this off camera, and Alex made the point that she didn't bring up in one of the TikToks France as, potential winners. And to be fair, like, they haven't been all that impressive. Against Germany, yes, they won, but it wasn't like a impressive performance in my
they won
opinion.
on an own goal and they tied Hungary.
Exactly, they drew to Hungary.
Yeah.
That's not good
Yeah,
enough.
fair point. Fair point. I just think that it's one of those ones where I think, I don't know, there's certain teams that you can look at and be like, okay, they haven't done that well when it comes to knockouts. But I personally think that France have enough quality in their squad where you could be like, any given game against any of the even good teams, I think they could probably they are probably more likely to get a result than, like, say for instance England. They are, I would say they're quite unpredictable. They could easily turn up with the quality they have in the squad, and if Southgate picks the right team. But I think France, they might not even necessarily have to play particularly well. The draw maybe doesn't suggest that, but I don't think they have to be amazing to get a result. Mbappe can sort of turn it on at any time, and Paul Pogba can. It's been in the Premier League. Paul Pogba's been average for like 10 straight games, and then he'll do some. He'll have a 10 out of 10 game. Again in like the Manchester derby, for
Pogba
example.
plays
It's not
better for
happened, but
France than club, in my opinion.
yeah, that's my point. And like, you've always got like Kante, and then like their squad is incredible. You can, in my opinion, you can never count them out. With the level they're at the moment, the quality of players they have in their team, they're matched with anyone in Europe at the moment.
Yeah,
literally on par, if not better than almost every
For
team
sure.
that's in the competition.
For sure. So I think, yeah, go on, Alex, go for it.
I was just going to say, I agree with your point. Like, if you're watching it game by game, it's easy to be disappointed in them. But it's one of those teams where they have such a superstar quality that you go in the change room, you go in the locker room with the manager, and his comments are going to be, "We are much better than this." Like there's nothing. It's not like he's talking to a team where he has to rally them up and pull something out of them. It's like, you are not meeting the standard that you could meet. So, the knockout stages. Definitely, that's a team I could see would step up to the plate. Whereas England, I'm not so sure, but I can see France stepping up.
100%. I think just to summarise all that was said, I think firstly, as Dan was kind of touching on, they're a team who you feel they would rise to the occasion. So if they've got a tough game in the quarterfinal, you can see them turning up for that game. And even if they don't turn up, they're the kind of team who, as they showed against Germany, even when not playing well, against a good German side, because they show what they're capable of against Portugal. We'll come to that in a minute. But they can still grind out a result, be it by penalties, be it an extra time. They'll still, even when they don't play well, they grind. And for those two reasons combined, I see why you'd still say that they're kind of one of the favourites for sure, despite obviously the... Because you feel like they're a kind of team who, if they play a team like Hungary, they could sink to their level sort of thing. But when you have a team that's almost as good as them, because I do think on paper France are the best team, not by a country mile. But
on paper they are. There's no question.
So when you come up against a team that are going to be tougher, you feel that they would rise to the occasion, or as I said, at least kind of grind out that result. So, yeah, fair points, Dan. Now let's turn over the attention to Alex a little bit.
Okay.
And this one's come from your country, Alex. Place called Vaughan in Ontario, very near Toronto. This is from Sandy. And Sandy has said, Alex, who's your team at the Euros? Because obviously you've got England, obviously through like us and the podcast and all of that. You got France because you speak French, am I right? Some French? Yep. So you've got a lot of Canadians obviously get behind France, especially those with some sort of French in their family or background, whatever. So yeah, I'm wondering. It's a good question actually, because I haven't really asked you this. Who is your team?
This is my problem. Okay, so I recently did this like high five strength test, and you do this like quiz thing, and it tells you what your top 5 strengths are. And one of my top 5 is storyteller, and this has been a joke like my whole life. Like everyone has always come to me and said, okay, are you going to tell us the point, or are we going to have to like get some popcorn for this story you're about to tell us? Because I take you on a journey. We got the intro, build up to the climax,
I'm the same though. I'm the same.
Everything I say, and everyone's always like harassing me, like, okay, I've only got 5 minutes. Are you sure you want to tell me the story? And thanking me, I'm giving you an experience. Okay, so just sit down and relax and listen to the story. So that's how I answer my questions as well. But yeah, in terms of who I like watching right now, so far from what I've seen, is Italy and Germany.
Okay.
Oh,
there we go.
God. That was funny.
Well, I feel like I roasted Alex, so I'm just going to roast Dan quickly. I think if you were to do that 5 strengths test, I'd probably come up error, no strengths found for you, Dan. So just balance the scale. Sorry.
Cool. I don't know if you're just pissed or if you froze.
Oh no, I'm not frozen. I'm not bloody frozen. I'm not frozen. No, my internet's fine.
He's just having none of it. But I need to cue another one of those "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
That's not even darkness. That's just red, bro. What the hell was that for?
I just wanted to balance the scale. Well, it was just because I was kind of going off at Alex there, so I just had to balance the scales.
No, there was not going off at Alex. She was saying how she was a lovely storyteller. I respect her long answers. That was just a dig for no reason.
Oh my days. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. We love you. It's calm.
I'm on Dan's side for this one.
It's calm.
That was just some
You're
friendly,
just an easy target. It's just the fact.
And then you turned around and shot some lasers at him.
Yeah. Let's go over to Portugal. Obviously, we've gotten some listeners in Portugal. I think Chloe Lacasse episode definitely helped with that. And obviously her recent episode, which actually Maria talks about in the question. So this is from Maria in Lisbon. And she said, I love your new female show. I assume she's talking about the Female Footy Forum, our new series. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go check it out because it is so good. And the new episode with Chloe Lacasse, which is our second episode we had there, Well, Alex had, I guess. I'm not on it, but Alex had that with Chloe Lacasse. So she said, Morgan, why do you think Portugal will not do well at the Euros? We have Ronaldo, we have Bruno, and so many players, question mark. So I'm assuming what Maria's referring to is my TikTok where I said Portugal will be my flop of the Euros. Now, I understand they're previous champions, they've won the Nations League, I understand all that, but there was just something about looking at this squad, I just wasn't sold on the cohesiveness of the squad. And I think they've shown, like, against Hungary, right, they weren't very good at all. And yes, it was 3-0 on the final score, but if you look at how the game transpired, Hungary deserved a point in that game, no doubt. And the 3 goals were just late goals, where that first goal, Hungary hung on, for, 86, 87 minutes. And then to concede that goal, that's so demoralising. And then you just felt like everything crumbled. But then against Germany, and I'll let Alex maybe talk more about kind of how beautiful the football was on Germany's side. But Portugal just looked like a shambles. They didn't know what to do with the ball. They didn't have any organisation, like, defensively. I mean, 4-2 I felt was an unfair scoreline for Germany. I thought Germany deserved to win that game by about 5 goals. I mean, it was just because obviously Portugal got that early goal. Germany had a goal disallowed. And then they got that kind of late goal. And it could have even been 4-3 because what a shot by Sanchez hitting the post. But anyway, so I just think Portugal were just such a poor side that game. And it just showed, like, okay, against a team like Hungary, they can eventually break them down. But against a proper team like Germany, and maybe they'll prove me wrong against France, they still have to play France, who also are coming off a draw against Hungary, and didn't do what Portugal did, was still get the 3 points. Mm-hmm. But against a good team like Germany, which is when it matters, obviously, Portugal just looked lifeless. I mean, lifeless, I think, is the word. They just didn't feel like they had any identity, any idea what they were doing on the pitch. What was their approach to the game? All of these things, just from the first whistle to the last, Germany just had complete control of the game, just passing it side to side, just bending Portugal. I mean, it was just beautiful to watch. But, like, if I'm a Portugal fan, it was just embarrassing. And those things that had transpired was just things I saw previously, which made me feel like Portugal, and being in a tough group, it's one thing if they were in an easy group like a Netherlands, like a Belgium, maybe they would have played better and you'd be thinking differently. But they've come up against a good team, and even against a team that's not that good, and they didn't impress me in either. So, and if it stays, and if assuming France can get something from that game, Portugal will probably finish third. So, because France already have 4 points, so and Portugal on 3. So even if France draw that game with Portugal, they'll still finish third. And I don't think Hungary will beat Germany, but in theory they could still finish bottom. But finishing third, you're going to have a very tough game coming out of the groups. I just don't see them going past around the 16.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Portugal-Germany game, the only true opportunities I felt Portugal had was their counterattack, and it wasn't even like they had a purposeful counter press to make that happen. It was, it was a result of Germany breakdown, but it wasn't like it was a purposeful thing. It was just kind of like Portugal took advantage of the ball popping out, and then they were doing like a full-on sprint down the field. I mean, their first goal, it wasn't a real anything happening for them to get down the field initially, and I felt like that was the only time you saw them really doing anything was a counterattack. I can't really remember moments where they were truly creating something and using their Portuguese identity to like get the ball forward. It was all just based on reacting to what Germany was giving them. So, and I am a little bit disappointed. 3 goals against for Germany, that's not good. For being such a calm, together kind of cohesive unit, 3 goals against is not something to be happy with. But
definitely, yeah, 4-2. That was a great game, though. Wow, really good game.
It was.
Dan, anything to add, or should we move on?
No, just I did have high hopes of Portugal. I think they've got a decent enough squad. They could pick up when it gets to knockouts. That's even if they get through to the knockouts, which I don't really see either. It's a shame that they got such a tough group. I would have liked to see them in the knockouts. So it's a shame that group is as heavy as it is. I mean, it's great, obviously, and from the neutral perspective. But I think Portugal fans will be definitely quite gutted. Having Bruno Fernandes and like Ronaldo in the same sort of team alongside other pieces, I think it's almost not French level, but it's definitely up there. I just think they've been unfortunate with this group of death that they've sort of ended up in and stuff. So disappointing. I think World Cup, I think they could make some noise potentially. I don't know. Depends what their group's like. But yeah, we'll have to see. But for this Euros, I don't see them really going any further than the group stages.
And it's not even the fact that it's the way they lost to Germany, right?
I agree.
It's the way they did it, right? Because, I mean, again, France beat Germany, but you're not saying like, wow, France beat Germany because of the way they beat Germany. It wasn't a great, win. So it's I think at the group stage, it's more about, how you're, what I mean? Like, I think if Portugal lost that game but showed that they're a good side, you'd maybe see them having like an outside chance, but they've done nothing to convince me of that in any shape or form, which is, as I said, what I thought before the Euros, and obviously now what I definitely still think. But thanks for your question, Maria, and we're glad that you're enjoying the female footy form as well, because, we've had some amazing feedback on that so far. So big up Alex for running that. Okay, so two similar questions now that came in, actually. So one was all the way over from California. This was Jim in California. And he just asked, do you think teams... By the way, shout out Jim, obviously checking us out from California. That's quite cool. Do you think teams having home games has given them an advantage? So obviously a bit different to normal Euros where games are being played across different countries, which means some of the teams have had, for example, Italy, all 3 games of theirs have been in Rome. So usually they'll be split between 2. Each group has 2 locations that games are played at. And that ends up with teams having some home games. So England have all 3. Scotland have 2 of the 3 because obviously they played against England at Wembley. So I think that's kind of what he's referring to. Do you think that's given them an advantage?
Just look at the Hungary-France game. And that's kind of my argument right there. Like, you saw the atmosphere. And it was, I mean, at least for us, I think where I'm living right now, it was the conversations that were happening was just this feeling of like everyone was kind of excited but sad seeing that stadium because we are still so closed here in Ontario where I am. And to see like the real football atmosphere being shown on TV again and what that can do to the game and how that can bring the underdog up a level and make it a competitive game. It was just such a big deal from my perspective watching it because it's been so long since I've been on a pitch and interacted and seen a game live happening or whatever it is. Like it's been a year and a half since any matches have happened where I am. And so just seeing that difference, it was kind of like a tear in my eye and just showed what an impact a home crowd can have.
Yeah. Dan.
Oh, yeah, home sport. I think, I agree with your point. I think in terms of where you're looking at that Hungary game and you're seeing that, the stadium's effectively basically full. It's not, it is, more or less it's full to capacity. And again, I get what you're saying about the fans, bringing that underdog up to the next level. And maybe was sort of the deciding factor in Hungary actually managing to secure a draw. I do feel, however, that even Wembley, even with those sections of like the Scotland fans who were chanting, and then you got the England fans, it's all still very spaced out. If you look at it on television, it's not, there's groups that sort of stand together, and that's where the bulk of the noise comes from. But it still feels to me quite empty. There's probably, it's a 90,000 seater stadium at Wembley. So seeing it like a quarter full is still a lot of people in a space, but it's not 90,000 people at Wembley cheering on England against Scotland. So I think, it does. Obviously, England will be probably used to be playing on Wembley, but realistically, if all the stadiums were full capacity, I'd say, definitely. I think it's I think you'd see some very, very different results, per Hungary game, for example. However, I feel like grounds like Wembley just still feel to me. Not that it's a bad thing. It's great that we're getting people inside stadiums. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it has to be full on or empty. I just feel like, to me, Wembley still feels and looks quite empty to the point where I'm not sure there's much impact. Maybe the pitch and the setting of like being in London and not having to travel is probably an advantage in itself. I don't think the actual fans being in the stadium is much of an impact. Small, but I don't think it's, unless it's full capacity, I don't think it's that much of an advantage, if any, really.
Perfect. Well, interesting. So, for me, the only problem with your point, Alex, is I think you could argue it either way. Because you say Hungary-France, what about France-Germany when it was in Munich? Where was Germany, then? But then again, they played in Munich for the other game, and obviously they beat Portugal. So I think both of what you're saying is, I think there is some advantage to it, but I don't think it's as much of an advantage given the fact that there are less fans, etc. And B, I think a home advantage only helps you in certain situations, like maybe in Hungary's case when the team are really tired, the last 5-10 minutes is 1-1, they're hanging on to a point, and the fans kind of will them to the end. Sometimes when the team's trying to score, and this is maybe sometimes when it doesn't make it, like Germany obviously trying to score against France, and the term that some commentators use is that they're trying to suck the ball into the goal. In other words, trying to cheer them on so much, give them so much support that it's pretty much trying to pull the ball into the goal just by the support they're giving them. So I think there's some degree to that. I do think it'll be interesting to see as time goes on when capacities increase. I think they're hoping to get 50% into Wembley for the semis and finals if England were to get there, if that kind of thing makes a difference. So I think that to some degree it does, but I think a combination of depends on the match. Like Turkey have had some home games in Baku, I believe, which isn't very far from Turkey. But then look at them against them. Well, this whole tournament's been a shambles for Germany. For Turkey. And they lost to Wales, at home. And they played Switzerland as well today. And they also lost that in Baku, which, again, is where the majority of Turkey fans. So it can work both ways, but it depends on the team, how good the team are, and how it's psychologically. I think it has different impacts on different teams. So I think it's a tough question.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Because I can see fans affecting Turkey much differently, or Hungary, or those teams. I can see them affecting them differently than a France or a Germany or a whatever. Just for based on experience and exposure and what's expected of them and all those kinds of things. So I think the psychology of it 100%. And I like the point you made, Dan, about full capacity versus spaced out fans, because I think that does make a difference. If you have no fans in there at all, you can in your head kind of be you can wrap your head around that and be okay, there's no fans, and you can set that expectation in your head. But if you have fans but they're minimal, it's like this lame kind of feeling, when you're on the pitch, and you're we only have that many people coming out supporting us. It's not you focus your whole game on it, but it's something that you notice. You just don't feel the same energy, and you don't have that same you haven't created that same thing in your head of no one's coming to the game, so you're prepared for that. But when it's this lame amount of mediocre fans, not that they're mediocre cheering, they're probably screaming their brains out, but it's just not the same as a full stadium. I think that is a big difference. And all such professional athletes that I feel at this point in many of their careers, the traveling, jet lag, time, whatever, getting used to the new location, I feel I could be wrong. I've never played at that level, so there's no way I could know. But I just feel they're so conditioned to having to travel and adjust and having their be prepared for games and all that kind of stuff. It's just I don't know if it makes that big of a difference necessarily, but there's all those kind of things out there. There's certain arenas in Canada where the elevation's higher than other arenas, and so people, always talk about if you're going to go play the Calgary Flames, like people get messed up when they go there because the elevation's so much different. So, like, I mean, you could kind of say that potentially, but I just feel like these athletes that we're watching are so professional and just so used to this lifestyle that I agree. I don't know if it's making that big of an impact.
For sure. And the thing I found interesting is that, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but for the FA Cup final, they bunch fans close together, and it made such a big difference, like to the atmosphere. Because I want to say maybe 4,000 on each side for the teams. I may be wrong. I want to say 4,000. But they bunched them quite, and this is maybe that was part of their piloting, so it was a pilot event. I think that was great because the way they bunched them together, it creates more of an atmosphere than spreading them out. Yes. There's just something about it. But if you have quarter-filled stadiums, it's just so anti-COVID to keep, when there's space to keep club fans close together. But for me, that makes such a big difference to the atmosphere.
It does.
In my opinion. So I don't know if they'll do that going forward, but I mean, it will be interesting to see. 2 more questions. One, so we're going to go to Malaysia now. So it's quite funny timing because obviously we had the Rob Gale episode where we joked about kind of like having a random surge in listeners from Malaysia. So thank you to those who are checking us out in Malaysia. This one's come from Hamid in Malaysia. And I really like this question, actually. So he said, I wasn't sure, actually, if Euros were watched a lot, like, across the world, but clearly it is. And he said, hey, guys, who surprised you the most so far? So I think this is a great question. So who's been...
in terms of player or team?
Team. I assume team. He hasn't specified,
okay,
but
right.
I assume team.
Okay. Who's your answer going to be? I dread to think what this is going to be.
So good.
Dan, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's gonna be some like outlandish answer like Ukraine, and you're gonna make some bold prediction about how you think, like, I don't know, Russia are gonna make the final or something along those lines. But I'm waiting to hear. I'm excited.
How very dare you? Well, no. Okay. I had that coming. I sliced you up earlier. Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. So, I do want to give a special shout out in Group E. Poland and Sweden have both impressed me, especially Sweden, I would say. I'm very intrigued to see how that game goes. That's going to be a very, very fascinating game. I thought Poland were unlucky, obviously, going down to 10 men in the first game. But they impressed me against Spain. But it is a combination. I think Spain have been a bit underwhelming as well.
They have, yeah.
I mean, for their sake, they better pick up 3 points against Slovakia. Because that's not going to be... congrats Slovakia. They got their win against Poland, so they must be buzzing with those 3 points. But they've really got to go out and do well against... Spain have really got to go out and do well against Slovakia. Poland, Sweden's going to be fascinating. Sweden, as I said, they got the 3 points against Slovakia. They played well against Spain. So did Poland. Could have even won it. But my team of my surprise team so far, because and I'll tell you who it is first and I'll get into it. It's Czech Republic.
Okay.
What, Dan? You got a problem with it, mate?
No, I just I just want to know why.
When you hear my answer, you're going to shut the hell up, mate, okay? Listen. So I'm looking at Czech Republic, right? I'm looking at a good side in Croatia. Obviously, they've been not as... I don't think they've been as good as everyone thought they would be, but they're not a bad side. And you've got a strong England team, and who have 3 games on. You've got a Scotland team who... A lot of hype, obviously, long time out of the Euros. And they're playing 2 games against Croatia and Czech Republic at home, with the support of the fans, as we've kind of just been talking about. And Czech Republic, first game, I really thought Scotland would have that. And me and Jovan talked about in the preview how they have to win that first game. They've got a couple players we know, Souček, Kufal, their striker as well, number 10. His name's not coming to me, but
Czech, isn't it?
Yeah, Czech, something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
with the rocket shot.
I mean, obviously that goal was ridiculous.
Crazy.
But the way they've played in these games as well has been impressive. There's a reason they are top of the group right now with 2 games played, because Croatia, they gave them a good game. And this is what we've been talking about, this recurring theme of it's not just about the result. You've got to look at how they're playing. And you could say, oh, they've got lucky. Obviously, with the good goal, like a great goal against Scotland, there was just, you could say, a fluke, but I thought it was phenomenal the way the ball curved. But the performance against Scotland was phenomenal. They took their chances. It was a very kind of end-to-end game. Croatia, they took the game to Croatia as well. And even though that was a draw, either team could have won it. It wasn't like a superior Croatia. So to me, that impressed them. And it's to the point where not only do you look at them, yeah, they're top of the group, but also you look at them, and I'm looking at how England have been so far. And I thought I'd be confident going into that game that we'd walk through it and Czech, Republic would already be out of the group. But they could compete. They just need a draw to finish top of the group. It's phenomenal. So to me, they've been a big surprise, and they've been very impressive, not just in getting results, but in how they've gone about it. And who knows?
That's a fair answer.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Exactly. It is.
Exactly. Okay, I'm done. I've said what I need to say. Go on, Dan. What's your superb answer that made you thought that mine was so?
So
Go on,
it's
Dan.
the most surprising team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the question?
Yeah, I mean that is what I've been talking about for the past 5 minutes. But sure, go on.
Alright. Yeah. In my opinion, the most surprising... Oh, because now I just said that they weren't. I haven't found anyone else other than Wales for me. That...
Hold on. So you slated my answer, and now you're going for the team that your girlfriend is supporting.
Well, yeah.
Pathetic.
It's not just because of that. You would...
And now you're coming up with shambles.
Alright.
Please
Wales,
tell me.
because Wales had a tough group. I fully believe they had a tough group, but they've got two decent results. I think the draw again. I mean, look at that group realistically. I know what you said about Turkey. A lot of people did think. Well, I don't know. A lot of people. I know that some people did think they'd be like a team that would, not necessarily get far, but definitely challenge in the group stages. Switzerland aren't a bad outfit. They hammered Turkey 3-1 today. But that is because Turkey aren't playing that well. But even so, they've got a strong side. So for Wales to get second place, disappointing to see them lose today. I don't think, I thought Italy, they made 8 changes, so it was more of a second Italy team or third, whatever Italy team. But yeah, it's nice. It's definitely positive to see them finish second. I'm not sure how much further they can go. I don't know who they play now they finish second. I don't know what their options are.
Obviously the games haven't played out, so we don't really know yet.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily saying they'll get far, but in terms of the position that the team ended up finishing, Czech was a good shout in all fairness. I shouldn't have roasted that as early as I did, but because Czech I've done very well. But Wales is probably my selection if I'm going to go for most surprising.
I'll help you a bit, since usually you need help with things you do. That was a bit harsh. Basic. Anyway, yeah, that was a bit. Anyway, so what I would say about Wales that's impressed me, Wales were never going to be a team coming into this that you would expect them to, go beat a team 3-0 or 4-1, kind of how we can see Germany have done, etc. So I think the key for Wales is it's always going to be a close game. They've got to be organised and solid at the back. They have to. Because then you've got players going forward like Bale, like Ramsey, who can create. And we saw multiple times against Turkey, just a good run from Ramsey and a perfect ball from Bale. That's sometimes all you need. All you need is just 2 players who are on the same wavelength, creating chances. And that can be the difference, and it was against Turkey. So my point is that the way they defended against Turkey when it was 1-0, Bell missed the penalty, it was 1-0, they were under a lot of pressure that last 20 minutes, and they stood strong, and they defended phenomenally as a team, as a unit. And against Italy today, obviously they lost the game, But the other teams lost 3-0. They got battered. And Wales held their own, not to mention, for about over half an hour, probably close to 40 minutes, I think, with 10 men to not concede again. And I understand Italy made changes and, they're not pushing for anything. They pretty much won the group, so it's a bit lethargic. But Italy was still trying to score. Like, I didn't feel like Italy took their foot off the gas. They were still trying to create chances, but Wales defended well. So, in a match that is 90 minutes, anyone can win. If you defend well and you create a couple chances and you take them, you never know. So, that for me, that's why I would say Wales have been impressive.
No, I agree.
Fair.
So,
Definitely
Alex,
surprising too.
Alex, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I always have the random answer here, but for me, I'm gonna say Hungary. Because I know they have a loss and a draw, but if you look at it, they held Portugal until the 84th minute, and they tied France. So I feel like if you're looking at that group of death, everyone had just written Hungary off. Like, those are an easy 3
Me
points.
included.
Easy 3 points for everyone that goes up against them, and they've really challenged some of the best teams in the tournament. So they're not getting the results, they're not getting the points necessarily, but I've been impressed with how they've been able to mix up that group of death a little bit.
Definitely. I think that's a really great shout, actually, because, yeah, as you said, it looked like it was just going to be like all the teams, they're going to have 3 points, Hungary with 0, and then it just depends on how they play against each other.
Yeah.
But Hungary have definitely, fought their corner, and they've battled hard. And I do wish they got a draw against Portugal as well, because they really deserved it. And to come away with 2, maybe 3 points if they draw to Germany as well, they should be really proud of that.
Yeah.
Really
Definitely.
proud. And even if they do lose to Germany, but again, they pull up a fight, I think they should walk away from this competition very proud with how they did, because they definitely drew the short straw in this one.
Yeah.
But as you said, they've definitely held their own. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, great question there from Hamid. Thank you for that. Let's keep it local for the last one. So, this is from Victoria in North London. She's given a little shout out. I love the tea with Julie. We all love the tea with Julie. Again, that's not on you, the female footy episodes. Julie bringing you all the gossip. Bit of sip, baby. Big up Julie on that. So, yeah, nice to see people are enjoying it. Thank you, Victoria. So which team will score the most goals at the Euros? So an interesting question here. Nothing about who's going to win, who's going to which team will score the most goals? Bit of a fun one to end off on.
It is. I personally think it's a bit. I would have liked this question before the tournament started, so it would have been, interesting to see who we said and then who actually turned out to be the biggest goal scorers. However, from what we've seen already, I think Italy will probably. They just look like they don't stop. Like, they're just unreal. And I think even, it sounds really weird, but like the energy they come with the national anthem, like these guys have come to the tournament they've come to win. They haven't come just to participate. Like, Italy have come to win and to score goals and win the entire tournament. And Italy, they have a good chance to win, but besides that, they have goals in them. The way they play is literally set up for them to score.
Yes.
Bags and bags of goals. And although your France isn't that good, I think the way France and Germany play, Germany are another potential, which I was going to say, but the way those kind of sides play.
No, be quiet. Germany, okay, they beat Portugal 4-2. Let's give them credit, but Germany have no strikers.
They don't. The only reason I said that was because they scored 4, so technically, that is already quite a big advantage. And if we're assuming that they make it quite far, they're going to have to sort of either pick up a goal or 2 during each game. So they could, realistically end up. But so that's what. But I think the way that your France is playing stuff like that, they control their game management is very good, and that's I just don't think they're necessarily. They have players that can score goals. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they would necessarily go and hammer a team in the knockouts 4-0 or 5-0 or something like that. Whereas I think that Italy will just pile it on if they start getting a couple of goals. They'll just they want to win, and they're ruthless, to be fair. So no, I like Italy's chances of being the top goal scorers, if I'm honest.
Okay, Alex.
I mean, I have to jump on that train as well. They are exciting to watch for me. I mean, they have a midfield and a front line that can all score goals. Like all of them. I mean, even in the game, that we were watching today, Italy playing Wales, and you take Immobile out because you want to rest the legs for the next what's to come, and you get people up top that can hold their own. Like it didn't seem like there was that big of a difference. They didn't score, as many goals necessarily, but I just find like they could have scored so many more goals today, and it was like just off by an inch or whatever. I just find they have a very dynamic group to score goals, and I agree with you. Like the national anthem, it just makes you want to be there. It makes you want to feel the energy. It just is. It's exciting, and you can feel it through the TV, which is pretty telling. And you have to. I mean, if you're going to answer this question realistically, you have to pick a team, like Dan said, that's going to go far. You have to.
Agreed.
So, you could look at Portugal because they're the second highest scoring team right now, but are they going to continue going forward? I don't know. I don't think Ronaldo can take them all the way to the final.
Yeah, true.
Fair point. Yeah, but no, I don't think they'll go very far. I don't think because he can do as much as he wants. I just don't think Portugal are good enough as a team. But for me, I don't disagree. But the only thing I would say, trying to maybe play devil's advocate here, is okay, great, Italy. They've shown they can attack well and score against Turkey, against Wales, against Switzerland, but they're about to have a whole different. And this is the thing. Let's be careful. Italy are my dark horse, and from what I've seen, I definitely like that pick, but I still need to see them against some real competition before I get too excited. They knock out a decent side. Even round of 16, I don't think they're going to get too. I think they're playing one of those groups who have a Belgium or a Netherlands, but then kind of below that, it's not really the same competition. So we might have to wait to a quarterfinal. But, as you said, you build momentum anyway. So even if it is against a weaker side, you're still building momentum that kind of you bring into that game in that quarterfinal. So, but again, it's just a devil's advocate argument. But for me, and I'm going to tell you why, for me it's Belgium, I think. Because that makes a good point. That makes a good point that... and there was a good point for the Germany one, because yes, Germany have no strikers. But if you think a team are going to go far, they're going to be up there because you got to score goals to go through, right? It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Belgium have that you feel that they're going to go far. I also think for Belgium, combination of the following. A, their attacking side, so kind of midfielders that are more attacking, and their strikers, their wingers, all of that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Their team is nuts. But also, defensively... For me, Belgium look a bit frail. Their defense isn't bad, don't get me wrong. But it's not, you look at France, for example. France, across the pitch, defense, midfield, attack, ridiculous. But defensively, for me, Belgium, they're not all that. I know they have a phenomenal goalkeeper, in Courtois, but, their actual defense isn't all that strong. It doesn't kind of blow you away. And I definitely think Italy have a stronger defense. So when I think about that as well, I think they're a bit more vulnerable at the back, which means to win games, they may have to score more goals. And they have that in them, right? So a team like Italy, yes, they could score 3 or 4, but in a game that's tight, it might come down to how well they can defend, a 1-0 lead or 2-1 lead, that kind of thing. Whereas Belgium, I mean, I'll give you an example, right? Because I remember it, because I put a bet on it. So in the World Cup, when they played Japan, I want to say round of 16, they went down 2-0 to Japan. And I put a bet on it 2-0 for Belgium to win I think just Belgium to win or Belgium 3-2 and Lukaku to score. Unfortunately, Lukaku didn't score any of the goals, so I didn't win the bet. But I was right in terms of them coming back. And they did come back. They scored 3 goals and they won 3-2. But that kind of thing where a team maybe that's not so good, they might concede 1 or 2, that may make them. I think they can do it anyway, but it'll give them an even more kind of, I don't want to say incentive because they have to score, but they may need to score those goals just to get through and not just for the sake of, piling up on the goals. So for me, it's Belgium for those reasons. So I think either's fair. I would love to see, I don't know what the paths look like, but seeing like a Belgium-Italy, like semis or final, I would be all for that.
End-to-end stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would be all for that. That would be a very good game if we are spoiled and treated to that game. Anyway, so I think we've gone through most of these questions here. And as we continue to grow, which we are and we're very proud of, we will continue constantly interacting with our fans. It's something that's so important to us, and it's at the heart and soul of what we do, being an interactive community. So yeah, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you're enjoying the Euros. So yeah, until next time, this has been the Footy Forum. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us a like. We like it when you just click that like button. So yeah, thank you again and take care.
Alright.
Wait, I see you. Don't go yet. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you follow us on Instagram at TFF Media and TikTok at the Footy Forum to ensure you're part of the most inclusive football community out there. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Until next time, take care.